So Mega Man X3 is a very complicated game for me to look at. This game has caused me the most moral dilemmas out of any Mega Man game I've ever played. When I was younger and I played X3 for the first time on the PS2X collection, no joke, I thought it was the best Mega Man X game out there. And at this time, I had already played 1, 4, 5, and 6. And yeah, my tiny brain thought that X6 was a good game at the time. Reading how X3 had more fleshed out completion bonuses alone sold me on X3 being the greatest goddamn thing since Mega Man NT Warrior on WB Kids.
Laser Blast! Battle Chip in! Download!
That's not Laser Blast, that's Cannon, you fucking degenerate. Not just that, but the branching paths that change depending on what weapon you use to kill certain bosses was something I never really experienced in a game prior to playing X3. It seduced me with its subtle promise of constant replayability that I've never felt with any game before. And oh, how replayable it was. Let me put this into perspective. I first played Mega Man X3 back in 2006. It was my favorite Mega Man X game until almost 2012 when Brainscratch comms finally uploaded their playthrough of it, and at the time it just sounded like they were bashing it.
An X game where nothing happens. It's completely irrelevant to the main plot.
What the fuck do they mean that my favorite Mega Man X game isn't good? Johnny's least favorite X game besides X7? But it can't be that bad. You can get Zero Z Saber. Johnny, please. Why have you forsaken me?
Wall Cancer! There's an enemy called Wall Cancer.
Hey, I'm sorry about that. As much as I love Some Call Me Johnny and the Brainscratch team, I don't like using YouTubers I've never met to help prove my point, unless it's important to the retrospective. When Brainscratch uploaded this playthrough, it sorta helped open my eyes and jumpstart this idea that, hey, Mega Man X3 maybe isn't that good. But in my time replaying Mega Man X3 ever since I came to this realization, I found that there's a much bigger underlying problem that this game has. I'm gonna skip the story rundown of Mega Man X3, because this game basically rehashes the story from the first two games. Just go back and watch my first two Mega Man X reviews and just swap out the word Sigma for Dr. Dopler, the new antagonist of X3. So it's been 6 months after the defeat of
Dr. Dopler.
The biggest problem that's holding Mega Man X3 back isn't the story, no matter how boring the story of X3 is, but it's more its over-ambition. I went into this video hoping that I could say that X3 was able to finish what X2 started, as X2 introduced a lot of concepts that would be refined later down the line. But I'm sad to say that the Mega Man X franchise is still having some growing pains. It's trying, it's really trying. It's doing the best to improve itself into full maturity, but as we all know, puberty's a bitch. The game starts off promising by showing X and Zero fighting side by side once again and even letting you play as Zero for the first time in the series. It does a great job at making you actually feel like Zero with how absurdly powerful his Z-Saber is. You're able to kill Mac in one blow. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Who's Mac? Well, I honestly have no fucking idea. X talks about this guy as if there's a bit of history between the two, but we never get a chance to see it, and then he dies like 2 minutes after. I swear to God if he was the green biker dude.
Green biker dude?
Who the hell is Green Biker Dude?
Just like the last game, the first boss is a giant mechanoloid that dies really quick and has spiky balls for hands, and then we're finally thrusted into the game. Like X2, once we beat the first two bosses, we're teased with 2 more bosses that will cut into your adventure now at a midway boss door that's now in every stage. This is Bit and Byte, members of the Nightmare Police. These bastards have a chance to show up at any point in the game, and that's a mechanic I personally welcome. It keeps you on your toes. Their boss fights aren't exactly fun, but you're able to choose between sparing them or killing them. Well, kinda. Using the weakness of one of these 2 bosses will determine if they show up again in the future. If you leave just one of them alive, you'll be facing them again in the first fortress stage. Kill both of them and you'll fight this trash compactor boss instead. And seeing that you can kill Bit and Byte's ultimate form faster than it can kill you, just by brute forcing the boss fight, for variety's sake I'd have to recommend just fighting the damn trash compactor. Mega Man X3 is just strange.
Yeah, it's like $200.
Thanks, Matt. How'd you even get in here?
Yeah, the door handle.
But before you make it to the fortress, you've got to collect some of those items, and oh boy, are there items to collect. The armor pieces, in my opinion, are the only highlight. The leg parts not only give you a mid-air dash, but also the ability to dash straight up into the air, which makes for much more forgiving platforming. The helmet gives you a map that highlights certain collectibles, the arm gives you a double charge shot that combines into a single bigger charge shot, and the chest piece does this. Ooh. Now you may have realized that I haven't really been talking about the bosses, and that's because all of the bosses in this game are just boring, dull, and not really fun to fight. Remember in X1 and even X2 how the bosses forced you to learn? They started off punishing you, and then you had to sort of decipher their pattern on your own. Yeah, X3 has none of that. There's only two types of bosses in X3. The ones where you have to move left and right to avoid them, and the boss where you just have to brute force it until it's dead. There's no in between. Chill Penguin is a better boss fight than most of the bosses in this game. Even the final fucking boss is a rough variant of this. Oh, right, Sigma's back. Spoiler alert, spoils. Fuck. But you know who has the best boss fight in the game? Why, it's our old pal Vile! Hey, how's it going, you piece of shit? How's our favorite Boba Fett wannabe? Oh man, I haven't seen you since I killed you after you killed my best friend. Thanks for that. Yep, Dr. Dopler managed to revive Vile, and it's not really explained why he did, but god damn it, I'm glad they did. So on top of the Nightmare Police, once the two Mavericks of the game are beaten, most stages now have a purple teleporter looking thing that will take you to a hidden stage in which you'll find our boy Vile, rocking an even deadlier looking ride armor than the one he totally destroyed us in the first game. This fight here stands as a bit of a testament to how strong X has become since X1. Even when he was fully powered in X1, he still couldn't scratch Vile's ride armor, and now he's just taking it down like no one's business. Or they probably just couldn't find a good Deus Ex Machina to destroy his armor with. And then what follows isn't too amazing of a boss fight, but still something better than what the rest of the game has to offer. He only really has 2 attacks, but these alone are much better than what every other boss has to offer. And just like Bit and Bite, if you have their weakness, you can dictate whether or not he'll show up again in the fortress. If you decide not to use his weakness on him, he'll show up in the second fortress stage, and this is hands down my favorite fight in the game. However, before I touch on that, let me just say that if you're going to do this, you're not going to get 100% of the pickups. In order to get 100% completion, you need to kill Vile in this hidden stage. Doing that will cause the second fortress to still be intact, which will let this weird dragonfly bug mini-boss show up. I have no idea how you're supposed to figure this out on your own, but if you pause the game just before the boss door, switch to 0, something that you can do by hitting R on the pause screen, something that the game never tells you, kill the mini-boss with 0, it'll fall on you, explode, and 0 will be like, "Here X, take my lightsaber." This is the kind of endgame weapon that X3 really needed. His Z-Saber replaces your orange charge on your buster, and this thing just shreds through health. The cherry on top being that you don't already have to have all of the other pickups to obtain it, or have full health to use it. It is the perfect endgame weapon for a game as repetitive as X3. Okay, let's talk about Vile some more. If for whatever reason you're not going for a Z-Saber run, the rematch with Vile is hands down the best fight in the game. Not only is it in a bigger arena, which makes some of his attacks a bit tougher to avoid, he also has some new ones, and oh fuck, did he just grab me? But there's one problem I have with Vile. Not so much his character or even his boss fight, but rather just how he was handled. I think it should have been Bit and Bite at the end of these portals, and Vile should have been the one hunting you down. Have him show up and talk about how he doesn't care, he's only here because he hates you, and that sort of brings me to my biggest problem with Mega Man X3, and that's how everything was handled. X3 was trying to be really ambitious, and as we know with cases like the Wii U, ambition doesn't always mean it's a good thing. If anything, ambition means that it'll be refined down the line. Its first steps aren't usually the biggest strides. It tried to have another villain take the reins, just for him to be a pawn for Sigma, which is cool on paper, but I think more foreshadowing would have been great. Have X and Zero find a prototype Sigma body in the first stage, or something to hint that Dr. Dopler is rebuilding Sigma. Or maybe in the beginning, instead of just saying that Dopler went crazy, have him pledge allegiance to Sigma, almost like a cult sort of thing, waging war against the rest of Able City or Doppeltown.
It also has one of the worst villain names ever, Dr. Dopler. What's he going to do, predict that it's going to rain on us?
Turn Dr. Dopler into a Sigma groupie, that would have been fun. Instead, all we have is a solo and confident villain that at the end reveals that Sigma took over his brain just so he can build Sigma the ultimate body, which is just a giant mech suit that goes down with 2 swings from Zero Z Saber. But hey, if you really don't want to get Zero Z Saber, you could just kill that motherfucker. At any point in the game, you're able to switch to Zero and play as him for a little while. You can basically do whatever you want except for fight bosses and collect power-ups. And just to keep you on your toes, if you die as Zero, you lose him for the rest of the game. The part in Dopler's fortress where Zero helps hold the ceiling up for you and kill this weird mini-boss, he's replaced with this weird-looking purple snail thing. Zero doesn't even appear in the ending, that's it. Thankfully, you don't need Zero to get any of the new collectibles, because now there's 2 types of new collectibles in Mega Man X3, the right armors and the pink capsules. I'll come back to the pink capsules in a minute. Now, instead of right armors being available in certain levels to complement the level design, now you have to unlock them, oh boy. But you can't use any of them until you free the starting right armor located in Blast Hornet stage. Then you're finally able to summon those right armors you've been collecting. But how the heck do you do that? Well, you gotta go here to these funky looking little platforms, which let you select which right armor you want to summon. What's the difference between these, you may ask? Well, one of them flies, one of them works underwater, and the rest don't matter. But be sure that when you're selecting it, you're not being a normal human being and pressing B like selecting everything else in Mega Man X, or even A like in every other Super Nintendo game. Now you gotta make sure to press Y, as in, why did you program it like this? It wouldn't be a big deal if the other buttons didn't exit the menu. And to salt the wound a little bit, it doesn't even tell you what each right armor is. Thankfully, you only need the right armor for 2 collectibles, and that being a single heart tank and another being a right armor in Toxic Seahorse's stage. You're gonna need these guys for 100% completion, and this game's 100% completion bonus is the goddamn pink capsules. These, in my opinion, are one of the worst additions to a Mega Man game ever. Ever, even worse than Doc Robot. The pink capsules act as an upgrade to the armor upgrades. The leg piece gives you a second mid-air dash, the chest piece gives you even more damage reduction, the arm piece lets you fire out constant charge shots at the cost of draining some ammo, and the helmet lets you refill your life if you're standing completely still. All really great additions. What's not great is the execution and obtaining them. You can only have one of these upgrades at a time, and instead of the second capsule not showing up as a result of you already obtaining one, Dr. Light will just come out and tell you, "Yeah, I'm sorry, better luck next time, later, bitch. Life can be cruel sometimes, X." This doesn't sound too bad, right? You get one good extra upgrade to help you along your quest. Nice risk versus reward. It helps encourage replayability. Okay, but what if I told you that you can get a brand new armor that has all 4 pink armor capsule pieces already installed? But if you get one of these pink capsules prior to finding it, Dr. Light still belittles you and calls you out for not wanting to wait to get the golden armor. Here's how you could fix this. Make it so that we can swap pink capsule pieces by visiting other pink capsules so Dr. Light doesn't belittle new players for trying to get 100% completion, let you revisit a pink capsule you've already been to uninstall it, and make it so that you can't have any pink armor capsule pieces installed for the golden armor capsule to appear. If I knew this shit back in the day when I first played these games, this would have immediately become my least favorite game in the Mega Man franchise. There's a little rule I hear a lot when it comes to game development, and that's not to punish players for not playing the game your way, and instead encourage them to play your way by rewarding them when they meet your criteria. Now, I'm not an expert in game design, so maybe I'm taking this a bit too far, but I honestly can't help but feel like this would degrade loyalty in your player base. This is the nail in the coffin of what kept X3 from being the phenomenal game that it had all the potential to be. I take it back. It wasn't just the overambition with the collectibles. As much as I wish I could say that this game's better than Mega Man X2, my mind has changed a lot in the past 6 years. Thanks, Brainscratch. Mega Man X3 isn't a bad game, it's still replayable. But if I'm being honest, going into my X1 review, I went in loving it, and I came out loving it even more. When I went into my X2 review, I didn't like the game, but I came out actually enjoying it quite a bit. And with X3, I went in hoping that I could find what I loved about the game so much as a kid. And it turned out that the only thing I really loved about it back in the day was Vile and using Zero Z Saber. I still had a lot of fun playing X3 for this review. I even streamed it on my Twitch channel. Twice. Holy shit, first try! Go follow my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thattravguy, link in description. But when you really start to look at this game through the fine print, I just wish that there was a definitive way to play this game. Nayrman? Hey Ryan, how's Brainscratch going? What brings you here?
Travis, don't you own the X collection on PS2?
Well, yeah, but I have it on Super Nintendo.
Oh, never mind that. Right there, just to your left of the SNES boxes. Shove that in your PS2.
Alright, but I don't see what the big deal is. Just gonna make me play X3 again? Wait a minute. I can't believe I forgot about this. Why the fuck wasn't I playing this version? These cutscenes and god damn this music.
Yeah, I guess back in '96, Capcom made an enhanced port of X3 for modern consoles at the time. Why it's not here in the States, I don't really know, but this version had fully animated cutscenes for the Mavericks, CD quality music, and not to mention the best name ever, Bilzard Buffalo.
Bilzard Buffalo?
Yeah, but besides that, there's very little actually added to the game. They added some neat little anime cutscenes to start this game and before bosses, and a few rework tunes which are pretty good with some exceptions. The game overall, though, still feels very dull and kind of not needed. There's a lot of filler going on here, and any Mega Man player could easily skip this one and not feel lost going into X4.
So that means it's the definitive way to play it, right?
That's more a matter of personal preference, really, but unless you stick to emulators, this is the cheapest way you're going to pick it up today. The X Collection is using the Super Nintendo port, so if you really want those few little extra things, you're kinda SOL.
What? Capcom, stop doing that! Capcom, you did the same bullshit with Mega Man 8 on the Legacy Collection too. Stop giving us the inferior port of a game. Thanks for bringing Mega Man back, though. I appreciate that. By the way, do you plan on doing X7 anytime soon? Yeah, that's right. Run, you coward. Just like when I beat you in Mario Kart.
Trav, shut up. You know I totally crushed you in Mario Kart. We have the tournament to prove it.
Alright, so Mega Man X3 is just not a very good game. Bringing out my Mega Man Mega List, I think it's pretty obvious that I have to put this game at the very back, with a rating of 5 pink capsules out of 10. Mega Man X3 starts off promising that it's going to be able to offer more than the previous two games offered, and what it offers is arguably structurally better than what X1 or X2 pulled off, but if you want the full package, you gotta know what you're doing. And even then, you're gonna be missing out on the quality work that you had to bury just to get the final upgrade. I started writing this review before it turned out that the Legacy Collection coming in July would be using the Super Nintendo port, but until then I'm sticking with the PS2 collection for that juicy, CD quality Toxic Seahorse music and that luscious Anime Zero hair. Just look at that hair. So it looks like I don't need this anymore.
That was like $600.
Ah, jeez, that was a nightmare. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. It's really late, and I am exhausted with this game review. I had a lot of fun doing this review, and I didn't plan it when I was writing it, but I really gotta thank Nayrman from Brainscratch Commentaries for lending his voice for a few lines. The beginning and the end of the video were gonna be the same regardless, so it's actually really fortunate that I was able to get them. It wasn't planned at all, and that X3 cartridge we broke, don't worry, that was a reproduction cart. I got it just for this video. I'm gonna leave it on my bookshelf though, as a reminder of this amazing experience making this review. This is the most fun I've had writing a review. Go check out my Twitter, link in description. It's at the other Trav guy, because that Trav guy was taken. Follow me on my Twitch. I don't have a schedule as of this video, but if I can get enough of a following on there, I might set up a dedicated streaming schedule. Lastly, if you want to check out where my reviews started, go check out my Mega Man X retrospective. If you're curious to hear the tale of how I discovered Mega Man X, go give it a listen. I think it's fun. And click over here to check out my most recent video, whatever that might be, and go check out Brainscratch commentaries. They're delightful human beings that have been a big part of my life for the past 8 years. And oh yeah, if you've made it to this point in the video, I think I should tell you to, hey, maybe you should subscribe. Like the video too. As the saying goes, smash that motherfucking like button. And yeah, that's it. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.